Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's May 29th, 2022. And as you can see on the right with the Hartford Whalers logo in the background is producer Rob. He's having some technical difficulties. Hopefully he can join us, but we wanted to get the show going. So thanks for joining us and welcome back. And Rob?
Good morning.
What's the story behind the logo?
I honestly say I'm not the biggest hockey fan in the world. Like maybe the Devils make it. You know, I was following the Vegas teams. I lived in Vegas for a little bit, but I've always been enthralled with the Hartford Whalers logo.
Okay.
I got jackets, I got hats, I got T-shirts, hoodies. So
I bet there's a lot of people that wouldn't know what that logo was unless you're a hockey guy. But
it's hard to tell. But I mean, real quick, the history behind the logo is people don't realize is that it's HW.
I see it. I know.
Just the way they do that, you know, kind of like, I mean, I think it's the best logo in sports, closely followed by the old Brewers.
Brew Crew? Yeah.
You know, with the mitt and the W, you know. So.
Yeah. It's actually a baseball glove, you know.
Yep.
And there's an M and a B in it.
Yes.
That's the story. Anyway, so let's jump into the monologue. And Rob, it's something that I think can really put what we do with sports into perspective, right? There was just something that happened. And of course, our monologue is sponsored by CORIANO Trucking of Summerhill, New York. And it's kind of heartbreaking. It's something we wanted to bring up and just give a warm thought and prayers, you know, to all the family that were affected by this shooting this past on Tuesday. It's just, you know, anytime you have children involved, it's so heartbreaking. And it's much more important than sports, you know, by far. And it's just something we wanted from the show and just to send our thoughts and prayers to them. It was a horrible, horrible thing. And, you know, I don't want to talk about from a political aspect of it. It's just something that's going to affect families for a long time. And, you know, the people of Uvalde, Texas. I mean, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. I can only imagine, you know, what they're going through. It's shocking to say the least. And, you know, all our best to them. That, again, Rob, it's really more important than sports, but, you know, it certainly was worth bringing that up right at the start of the show because everything that comes beyond that is secondary. So,
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's not I think it's become pretty apparent. I don't say apparent. That's too strong a word. That it's not necessarily a political thing. It's just a matter of, you know, doing the right thing and getting the right procedures in place. So this ends.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of hope we get to that point, and you know, it's ultimately, you know, probably over optimistic, but again, it's just something that happens, and nobody can really explain why. But again, our thoughts and prayers to the people and the families from Uvalde. So, Rob, let's move on to the hardwood.
Hold on a second. I may have a way here. Hold on.
Okay. Still working out our technical issues with the other mono. So,
hold on.
While we're trying to cue that up, though, I wanted to move right on to basketball because I got to tell you, I've watched more basketball in the past 2 months than I have in the past 15 years. And you know why? Because it's been pretty good. And, you know, with this series with Boston and Miami, you know, it's hard to even believe that it's going to game 7 tonight because the shooting by the Heat in games 4 and 3 and 4 were just, you're talking like they were shooting like 7 for 48 from the floor. And, you know, obviously that's not going to get it done. And then, boom, right off the bat, you think that series is over. And Butler and Miami come up with a big game. And now we're going to game 7 tonight. What's your thoughts on the NBA?
Yeah, it's been interesting. And, you know, Golden State coming back all of a sudden, you know, from where they were the past 2 years, kind of I guess they have a little chip on their shoulder because they want to prove that, they don't need KD to win championships, right?
Yes, right.
And on the other side, there's one, I've never been a Celtic fan myself. I like to see the Heat do something here, but either way, the NBA fan, like I said, is getting a good bang for their buck because there's been a lot of interesting things going on. And hey, Memorial Day weekend, I don't remember how many times I've watched Jordan down the shore back in the 80s and 90s. Memorial Day weekend on, so it's a good time of year.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, the Miami Heat, when you look at them and how they match up against Boston has Smart. They got Tatum. They got Horford. These guys, if you look at against, I think they match up, even better than Adebayo or PJ Tucker, right? So Butler is their guy. Tatum is Boston's guy. And it should be a good game 7. I think it's in Miami. Is the game in Miami?
Yeah, because they were the higher seed, so they would.
Right.
But this series has proven, though, there's no real home advantage.
Exactly.
Because each team
That's
is
exactly right.
And Steve stands by his original pick, Celtics in 7. He says,
I'm well aware. I haven't wavered either. My pick was the Heat, and I'm sticking with it. And I know Mike Garvey's sticking with it too. So, but you know what, Rob? You brought up Golden State, and I felt the exact same way. I'm actually happy for these guys because I like Curry, I like Thompson, and I think Draymond Green is as kind of roughhouser as he is. He's a really, really good player, and I wouldn't be disappointed to see Curry and Thompson and Green get another title without Durant. That was a great point you brought up.
It would be phenomenal. I mean, I know we can't go back in time, and everybody's comparing like LeBron and Jordan and everything, and they cross paths maybe real little in the beginning, but how phenomenal would be a playoff Game 7 match where you had Draymond Green playing against Dennis Rodman. Those guys would just, or even a Lambeer, right? I would want to see this have a camera focus just on them the whole game.
Yeah, and when you look at that, I mean, we know how physical those Pistons teams were. I mean, people could say they were downright dirty. And I don't think the game is any less physical, but you just can't get away with it anymore. That's the problem. So we're getting these guys, they're going to the line 40 times a game, and the game's being decided at the foul line. And that takes away a little bit from, because I love to watch Thompson and Curry just shoot the lights out of the ball. But I wrote a column on JPM Sports Entertainment a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of went out on a limb, and I really like this turnaround from Jimmy Butler, and I'm not ruling their chances out at home tonight. So I'm sticking with my original thing.
Have you seen, I'm sure it's been out there pretty often, have you seen Jimmy Butler's backstory?
No, like what? What do you mean?
At the age of 13, his father left when he was real young or something. His mother at the age of 13 had kid, abandoned him.
Yeah.
So he was homeless for a while, living in shelters, and then kind of made a star out of himself,
Yeah. Oh, you can get a bunch of those stories. But like I said, he's a real dominating. But, the way he was shooting in Game 4 was, I go, wow. He went from one extreme to the other. He drops 47 in Game 6. It's amazing. So the NBA, like I said, Rob, it's been much, much better than I recall it in the past few years. That's for sure. I love it. Let's move on to the ice, the playoffs. And listen, I appreciate the backstory with the Hartford Whalers. And you're right. It's like that FedEx that people don't realize there's an arrow in the name. If you look at it closely, that you can see the H, and there's the W, and it's pretty cool. But the Rangers forced Game 7, and people have been counting them out. I mean, and rightfully so. They look kind of lethargic against Carolina in Game 5, and then they bounced back in Madison Square Garden and just dominated a really, really good Hurricanes team, and that's going to Game 7. You've been watching it?
I haven't really been watching a lot of hockey.
You should. It's that good.
Oh no! I will when it gets to the finals or
But who,
semifinals. But it
here's
seems
what
though
here's what the winner gets. They get to play the
Tampa Bay.
two-time defending champs.
Who's on the verge of being a dynasty, right?
Well, I guess the Islanders are a dynasty. That's 4. Edmonton was a dynasty. They won a bunch. But yeah, you're right. If they win this, you got to give them the dynasty tag for sure. So that's going to be a tough series, no matter who wins. But I like the Rangers' chances in Game 7. I think they proved that they can come back from this. I think Carolina's a much better team than the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I think the momentum is on the Rangers side, and I'm going to go with them. And like I said, the winner gets to face Tampa Bay, who looks awfully tough to beat. And out on the West, the West side, Steve and I have talked about it time and time again with Connor McDavid. He is the new best player in hockey, and he's not disappointing. Scores the winning goal, obviously, in overtime to send them into the conference finals. And still working on the Avalanche and Blues series. But I think Edmonton and McDavid are going to be tough to beat out West. And like I said, we got to get past Game 7 first. But I think if the Rangers, I've watched them a bunch of times play Tampa Bay, and they seem to match up really well. So I think that would be a better series. But I'm pulling for the Rangers, as you know. Steve and I, we're pulling for the Rangers.
All right, so we got Steven on Messenger at least now, finally.
Yeah.
By the way, only reason I ever heard of Connor McDavid, wasn't his card worth like an insane amount of money, his rookie card, and it was so hard to find. I think that's why I didn't know that name before this, before the playoffs.
Yeah, that seems like I know we could say, well, that's too early. He's only been in the league 5 years, But they did that with a Luka Doncic card, right? His rookie card, and he's only 3 years in the league too. So we talked about people paying exorbitant prices for the sports memorabilia. And the day I spend $1 million on a card, that means I got 10 in the bank. But hockey has been great, and we keep bringing it up to our audience because you should tune in. It's really awesome to see.
So there, Steve says each team has won at home. Carolina Game 6, and we'll see what happens.
And Game 7 tomorrow night, Steve-O. So listen, NBA, NHL, awesome. Let's just touch base real quick, Rob, on Major League Baseball. And there was the big controversy was with this Josh Donaldson and Tim Anderson thing, and so now Donaldson's quote unquote on the injured reserve or whatever. They gave him COVID, whatever. He can't get away from this. And again, I don't know the backstory, but it became the biggest story in baseball, which you hate to see. We want to see it between the lines, right? We want to see the Trouts and these guys hit home runs. That's what baseball is all about. And again, we get into this whole politically correct scenario. And listen, we have talked time and time again. Times are different. You can't be insensitive without having to pay the social cost, right? And again, that was the biggest story in sports. I did want to mention to Steve, though, seems like Derek Cole's starting to learn how to pitch without spider tack. He's becoming one of the premier dominant pitchers we knew he could be.
The Yankees have a team ERA below 3. That's for the Yankees. That's almost unheard of.
I know. Well, you got Cortez. He's got less than a 2 ERA, and a less than a 2 ERA in baseball today with these juice balls is unheard of.
Lester Cortez. I was thinking about this the other day. I was listening to the game on the radio, right? Lester Cortez could theoretically have an earned hits average. That's how few hits he's given up, this season. Never mind runs.
No, it's that the Yankees are right now 20 games above 500, and I got to be honest. We certainly didn't see this kind of season from Cortez. I kind of suspected Cole would bounce back, and hopefully Montgomery becomes the player that we think he could be. But when I looked at the lineup with Donaldson and Hicks still in there, and of all people, this guy Gallo, I can't even watch him. When the Yankees are playing, when he's up at bat, I'll go to the bathroom. Drives me nuts. A 206 lifetime hitter. But that's the team that's got the best record in Major League Baseball. And of course, Aaron Judge is having an MVP season. And can he stay healthy for this run? That's going to be the big question, right?
Little sad though, real quick. A little sad though that they haven't yet signed Brett Gardner. Because I think he would add.
Geez.
I know you guys aren't Gardner guys, but I mean, you got to be better than Gallo right now.
No, I don't think you gain anything. I mean, Gallo's not the worst fielder for sure. He's actually adequate in the field, but at home plate, listen, we saw what was happening to Gardner the past couple of years. I mean, the fact that he got a contract for the past 2 years before he retired was a miracle to me. And what, did you hear something? Are they actually talking to him?
No, but if they would have done something, you would have thought it would have been this last with the Carpenter kid, and Hicks is hurting, and you got Stanton on IR or IL, whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna give up on Gallo, then you got to give this Florial a chance. I mean, bringing Gardner back and then having to send Florial, that we got to find out whether this kid can be a major league player or not. And that's the route I would go. And I didn't even give any consideration to Brett Gardner. It's funny that you said that. And then I go, oh, they're talking to him now? Is that how bad it is?
Well, I'm sure you heard this. He turned away. He turned down 2 decent contracts. He only wants to be a Yankee.
Well, I'm just saying. He's
what
not going down in baseball Yankee lore like Garrett Ruth and Mantle DiMaggio and probably at some point Judge. But I think they could find somebody.
You see Steve's comment?
Yeah, I know. That's a reference to my cousin Vinny. Remember Joe Pesci? He's trying to get Fred Gwynn, the judge. No to do. So what else in baseball? Like I said, the Mets, they keep winning. I guess they keep playing the Phillies, so they're going to keep winning. I mean, Phillies they give up 10 runs a game. It's almost comical. And the Mets are hot. Alonso's having, I don't want to say breakout season. He hit 52 home runs his rookie year, but he is starting to become a real, it was an all or nothing kind of proposition as a rookie. Now he's gaining control of the plate and not swinging at the ridiculous ones he did, his rookie year. He's really coming along. And although Scherzer's out, the word from the street is DeGrom is coming back pretty soon. He feels pretty comfortable. And I think that would fill the void for Scherzer for a while. But when the 2 of them come back, I can't see them. They already got an 8.5 game lead in the National League.
I think I read yesterday that Alonso leads baseball with RBIs right now. So he's the leader.
But all these guys that didn't hit for the Mets last year, they want to hit for Buck Showalter, I guess. McNeil is starting to hit. Nimmo's, he's becoming a top-notch player. And God, even Francisco Lindor is starting to actually hit the ball. I mean, because I think he's aware that he could have got away with that with Luis Rojas, but not with Buck Showalter. Right? I don't care how much.
Are you a Met fan? Are you a Met fan or a Yankee fan?
Steve and I are Yankee fans.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because I have on my mom's side of the family, I have a cousin who pitched for the Mets.
What's his name?
Pete Falcone.
Oh, of course. I think Pete Falcone might have been a St. John's guy. Was he, Steve? I know Steve's in the back.
I think
we remember him.
I think his son was. Or his son, I don't know. He might have been.
Oh, yeah. Pete Falcone probably played for 6 different teams in Major League Baseball.
He actually played for what's his name?
Cardinals.
Joe Yankees, Joe Torre.
For the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him on the Cardinals and the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve validated that.
Largest lead since '69.
Yep. So let's just take a quick snapshot. I think the surprise team is the Minnesota Twins. They're actually playing good ball. And, I did check to see what Gary Sanchez's batting average was, and it's fluttering around the 200 mark. So good luck with that. We had to give up Urshela, which was a disappointment because we liked him. But Sanchez, I don't think we've lost much behind the plate for the Yankees, and that's been a key. These guys are Trevino. They're actually filling the void. They're not going to hit a combine.
I think what we see there with the two catchers, they're not hitting a lot, but they're really fortifying the defense.
No, and they're coming up with some big hits every now and then. We don't expect them to be Johnny Bench and hit 275, right? So that's a surprise, but the Twins are a surprise. Like I said, that's kind of weak. People keep saying the White Sox are the best team in that division, and I go, I'd watch them play the Yankees. The Yankees kind of crushed them all but one game, I think. And the Dodgers are the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to win the National League. They got an all-star team on the field. So Rob, let's move on and just a couple recaps from last week. Don't know if you were watching it, but the PGA Championship was last week, and this kid, Mito Pereira, had the lead, and it was heartbreaking to watch this kid because he had Justin Thomas lurking, right, 7 shots off the lead going into the final round, and then the guy gets to 18 and he drove the ball like I do. It was ridiculous. Like he didn't look like a professional golfer. And the ball went exactly where I would hit it, in the water. It was really heartbreaking to see. And not only did he collapse and not get birdie, at least get a par and go into the playoff, he bogeyed the hole. He didn't even make the playoff. So Justin Thomas sneaks in and takes on Will Zalatoris, who Steve and I talked about on the last show. This kid is going to be around for a while. He'll get his major, but he got a good taste of it. But got to give Justin Thomas credit. He fought all day long, overcame that lead, and he won the PGA Championship, his second major. You don't watch golf, do you?
Not really.
No.
I used to watch a lot more golf when I played golf, and it's been a while for that.
Well, U.S. Open will be coming up, and I think the final round this year again is on Father's Day, so that's always a special day for us. But what a job by Thomas. And, when we look at some of these guys, like I think Jordan Spieth's like a Sidney Crosby of golf. He's always whining. He's a whiner. Thomas, not so much. He handles himself with class, and I love that. I love when a guy like that wins. And Zalatoris is the same way. That's why we're rooting for him to win a major down the road. So the PGA, that recap, and we got to bring up the Preakness Stakes, which was the second leg of the Triple Crown.
I think golf needs an alternate broadcast.
What do you mean?
They need like a Manning cast, just to make it a little more. Now you guys are serious fans, right? I'm not a serious fan of golf, but I wouldn't mind a little humor mixed into my golf. Get an alternate broadcast that maybe No, I don't know.
I disagree. I think golf is that gentleman's sport. It's got to be how golf is intended to be. You can't talk, when basketball guys are shooting foul shots, the fans are going nuts. Golf, you got to be quiet. I think it's cool. So I wanted to recap the Preakness. Like I said, it was the second leg in the Triple Crown. And again, Epicenter was the favorite. That's who I picked in the race because Rich Strike wasn't in it. He will run in the Belmont. The Kentucky Derby winner will. But what a disappointment, this Epicenter. He was the favorite in both the Derby and the Preakness, and he disappoints. Hard to believe. The one horse that I did throw in before we finished up with our Preakness picks last week was early voting, and he did win it. But one of our listeners, Walt, said, we both missed it, but he said if I had to make a living winning Kentucky Derby races, I'd be living in a box. So listen, we got a pretty good track record on Sports with Mono and Mono with picks, but this year so far with the Derby and the Preakness, missed them both pretty much. So the next leg, and that's two weeks from today, is the 2 weeks from tomorrow, the Belmont Stakes. And Rob, I know you're not a horse racing guy per se either, but what sets the Belmont apart from the Derby and the Preakness is the length. It's 1.5 miles. It's like a marathon for these horses. That's why winning the Triple Crown, we've seen horses a bunch of times win the Derby and the Preakness, but the 1.5 miles at Belmont Park trips them up. But we'll see. The Kentucky Derby runner will be in, and listen, I can just tell you this. Now what'll happen, Epicenter will still be one of the favorites in the race. And that's when everyone's going to say, I'm not betting on Epicenter. He blew 2 tires so far. And he'll end up winning the race. But we're going to have our Belmont picks when we get there.
Do you think
just wanted to recap.
Do you think it'll be a more influx of fan now that this super underdog hero won the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, but to think it's going to generate the kind of buzz. I don't know if you remember it, but when American Pharaoh was going for the Triple Crown, it was almost like a phenomenon. It was really something. The record attendance at Belmont Park, but that set the tone, because even Justify won the Triple Crown and it didn't generate the same buzz as American Pharaoh. But yeah, people like getting out. They haven't been at a horse racing track and seen Triple Crown races in a couple of years. So, but I expect record crowds, no, but it will be interesting to see if a long shot, and he's not going to be the favorite in Belmont Stakes. That much I can tell you.
But I'll be rooting for him because I love it. We all love underdog stories. So.
Oh, no question. No question. I don't have any other skin in the game other than, liking a horse like I did with American Pharaoh. And I remember what I did. I knew I believed American Pharaoh was going to win the Triple Crown. So I went to OTB and I got my, $20 to win on American Pharaoh, knowing very well I was never going to cash that ticket. And I had it framed and everything. So, but no Triple Crown this year. But yes, Rich Strike will be running in the Belmont in 2 weeks. And you know what? We absolutely overlooked the fact that the French Open, we didn't even talk about it. Again, not one of your favorite sports either, but tennis, French Open, one of the Grand Slam events, and setting up for a quarterfinals match with Djokovic and Nadal. And Steve and I mentioned this kid, Carlos Alcaraz, he's going to be the next Djokovic, Nadal, something like that. So one of the young faces. And then on the women's side, all of the top seeds are getting knocked out left and right. Naomi Osaka got knocked out already. And then, probably 6 out of the next top 20 women got knocked out. So that's wide open. And again, we don't see a Serena Williams in there, which, you wonder if we're ever going to see her again outside. Probably going to be a good shot. She'll play the U.S. Open. She's got some patching up to do at the U.S. Open. I think her days of competing in all 4 Grand Slam events are.
I wouldn't mind. That's probably on my bucket list to at least do one U.S. Open, or watch tennis live. I respect it.
I've done it. And it's actually pretty cool. It really is. Never did the U.S. Open. Did the U.S. Open golf.
I used to work for a bank back in the early mid to late 90s. They used to have that tennis tournament up in the Sheridan in Mahwah.
Yeah, at Ramapo College.
Yeah. And Anna Kournikova was like, so I was there. I was there for that. I don't remember seeing a match though, but we were like a sponsoring bank, so I was there for doing other stuff. But
I did go to that tournament too.
Her being there, yeah.
Yeah. And here's from the obscure. You know who I met at that tournament at Ramapo College was Famous Amos, the guy with cookies. Famous Amos chocolate chip cookies. I said, "Hey, Famous Amos," and he was a funny guy. He was funny. That's obscure, but
So Jim's the same way. So we have to add that to our bucket list. But after Notre Dame, Notre Dame's first.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting to hear from you guys whether they're going to pull that off or not.
Yeah, I got to wait for my soccer schedule.
Okay.
For the fall.
So listen, I just want to recap a couple other things because we've talked about high school baseball, and I'm going to give you a couple seconds to gloat on your St. Mary's team. Who beat my Steve and I's beloved St. Joe's?
I'm not ready yet. Hold on. Got to be here somewhere.
Allergies here, so I apologize, fans.
I don't know if I have it saved on my here. I should. Hold on.
I mean, with all
go on. Keep talking about it.
But with all due respect, it really didn't have any impact on anything. You know, I mean, St. Joe's is playing.
Well, like I told you offline, it's going to have an impact on St. Mary just having that confidence of showing
standing up to the big boys.
Yes,
gotcha.
And I tell you, I mean, you can't say your team didn't want to win because they wanted to win that game. They may have changed pitchers the whole time, but they didn't change any batters. And you got some good-looking guys in that team.
Yeah. Now, high school baseball is really exciting, to be quite honest with you. And I know St. Joe's, a little conflict for Steve today because his son's high school Ramapo is playing St. Joe's today.
What is he wearing today?
I don't know. But the baseball has been exciting, and I just wanted to bring that up because, like I said, you know, with the pandemic and what's been going on in the past couple of years, it's just nice to catch a high school baseball game. And a quick shout out, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They had a great year, right? And of course, we bring it up because our nephew was there, the pitching coach. They won their first 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, right? Rutgers' first time in the Big Ten tournament as a number 2 seed. Really, what a great year! They're going to make the college, NCAA tournament. That's what kind of year they've had, and it's been great.
Well, I'll tell you, St. Mary's we're the number 2 seed in North Public B. Number 1 is Rutgers Prep.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
All right. Well, we'll see if you're gonna put the.
By the way, real quick, Jim. There was a lot of controversy with St. Mary's with these 6-7 transfers, right?
Yes.
But did you see what Woodridge did?
Well, they did the same thing, probably, right?
They apparently the NJ, who governs the athletics in New Jersey high schools, right, allowed a certain amount of players who missed a year of COVID, right? If you enrolled this year into a community college, which means you're a postgraduate, right? You're allowed to play one last year in high school.
Wow.
So Woodbridge, who we split with, right? We're co-champions of our division, bitter rivals. When I was there was a big there were, screw you guys and your transfers, bada. Yeah, they had 3 kids, including their stud pitcher, who was in Bergen Community College playing high school ball.
Wow.
So it's just a weird,
Exactly. It's unbelievable. It's like the same thing going on in college sports, you know?
Yeah.
You can come and go whenever you want. It doesn't matter. Anyway, our baseball segment was sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And real quick, Steve brought up Rutgers lacrosse, Final Four. What a year Rutgers University is having, you know? Unbelievable.
And speaking of colleges, looks like the star of the St. Peter's basketball team this year has transferred to Seton Hall.
Okay.
So that makes us a real good contender this year. So
I actually thought when he took that job, he was going to get more of those kids.
I think he's a very what's the word I'm looking for? He has a lot of integrity. So he was
Ethical.
ethical. He wasn't going to leave a teammate he brought to the Elite Eight and fleece him, even though they all left anyway.
Yeah.
But he took the one player that mattered, and
Yeah. So that doesn't look so bad for him, like he didn't pilfer them, kind of thing. I see your point.
Yeah.
Just a couple of real quick random points of interest, Rob. A random segment. There's a Saturday night.
This I have Lynch Toyota for.
Huh?
I got these guys for Lynch Toyota.
They're the best in the business. That's all I can tell you. There's a Saturday Night Live skit where Chris Redd does Stephen A. Smith and Kenan Thompson does Michael Irvin. If you haven't seen it, after the show, check it out. It is so dead solid, perfect. It's so freaking funny. It's sports related. That's why I brought it up. But you got to just Google it. It's great. It is so perfect.
I got to watch that.
I thought I did the best Stephen A. Smith impression. But Chris Redd's got me,
I think one of the best skits they ever did on Saturday Night Live was, remember the one with Peyton Manning? Because he was such a likable guy, but he was coaching kids football, and he's like chewing them out and insulting them.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's one of them. I think that one I can laugh my ass off every time.
Well, random points. The Deshaun Watson situation. I mean, they got to come to a decision on this, and I'm not sure which way they're leaning. I mean, the outcry against this kid almost screams that the NFL has to suspend him for the personal conduct policy. But I don't know I'm wondering if a deal was done before they pulled off this, this trade to get him and emptied the vault to get him. I wonder if there was an inside thing saying we don't have anything on him. They dropped the charges or not.
I think it's the opposite. Because I'm hearing the NFL is gonna. They don't want to be NFL, especially Goodell, does not want to be outsmarted by anybody, right?
Of course
I think they're going to suspend him year 2 when his real money of the contract kicks in. He's making nothing this year.
Yeah, so but they can't let him play and then suspend him. If they're going to suspend him, they're going to suspend him for this season, and you can't wait. I don't know. I don't see that, but
only because the way the Browns structured his contract, he's making no money this year.
Yeah,
and they want to. If they're going to suspend him, they want him to feel it in the wallet.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see. So I think the other story that the fact that the Raiders gave Kaepernick a workout. What do you think? Do you think he's going to be back on an NFL roster? I wonder because. It's been 6 years. He's already 34. And I know everyone thinks because Tom Brady's 45 that you can play quarterback till you're 40. And his record wasn't really that good in the last couple of years. He did get into the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter. I'm pulling for the kid if he's good enough to get a job on a roster. But if we're going to do this for other reasons, then it doesn't make sense.
I think he's at this point. Yeah, I'd like to see him get a job, but he's going to have to put his ego in check and be a backup. He's not starting anywhere. I'm surprised he went to the Raiders. Also, Raiders just traded for Stidham, who Josh McDaniels had it in the Patriots. So, I mean.
Right, but they did that because Stidham is familiar with McDaniels' offensive plan. So, And here's one more random thought, Rob, and I know maybe you don't even know who Michelle Wee is.
Of course.
She was going to be the next Tiger Woods and stuff. And I actually was so impressed by this kid. I went to see her play. Remember they have that golf tournament down in Marriott Seaview. They have an LPGA tour. I went to see her with
ShopRite one, right?
Yeah, ShopRite one years ago.
I played that course, by the way.
Huh?
I played that course when I used to play golf, and all my friends play golf. That was one of our maybe 2 years in a row. The whole guy trip, Atlantic City, played the Seaview Marriott, and then gamble all night.
Yeah, but no, I actually went to see her play, and I went to see Annika Sorenstam. She was in the same tournament, but she's retiring. I guess retiring, not gonna she's not going to be the next Tiger Woods of the LPGA. Let's put it that way. But she's a nice kid. She was always a nice kid.
True. Real quick. It's just one of my funny stories. You know, everybody tries to get into the domain game, domain name game. Like you see a rising star, you buy the .com.
Yep.
So I did that for a local female golfer. Remember Marina Alex?
I don't.
She went to like Wayne Hills. Then she's still playing. She's won a couple of championships. But when she was in high school, I'm like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. I put up her name. Her domain name was available. So I buy marinaalex.com. Sat on it for a couple of years, and then said, nothing's happening with this. The year after, she finally, she does really good in college. I think Vanderbilt she went to. Championship in college, and then has had a pretty decent career in the LPGA. But I didn't hang on to it long enough to sustain any value for it.
I think Mark Cuban made a fortune doing the same exact thing.
And people are still doing it. That's
right.
He
did it. He did it before, when the internet was
just starting. Yeah.
Yep.
Think about it. All these Yankee prospects, right? You gotta find somebody you have to know somebody who's with any baseball team or a pro team, what they're thinking about, and buy the kid's name now, right? If you see a kid who's 12 years old hitting home run over the fences every Babe Ruth game, buy his name now because he's not gonna get a chance to.
That's our tip from the producer, spoken like a typical producer, right? Anyway, so Rob, we got a couple of notables, and before we move on to the notables, it's Memorial Day, and Steve and I, our passion for the veterans of yesterday and the veterans of today is, it just stays with us. And I had an opportunity actually yesterday to talk to a World War II veteran. Guys, it's so nice. These guys are in their 90s. And every year I go to go to a service, in Ramsey and talk to some of the veterans. And it's just difficult to watch year after year. There's less and less of them. But, on Memorial Day, we send our gratuitous thanks for all the sacrifices that our veterans have made, and yesterday and today. So
absolutely,
we can have barbecues and all that, but let's not diminish the real reason we have Monday off. So couple other guys, Rob and Steve brought this up. Joe Pignataro, he was on Gil Hodges' staff when the Mets won the '69 World Series, and
I've heard the name before.
Yeah, so he was with the Mets for a while, but he was kind of known, like he was traded to the Kansas City A's because the Dodgers needed money to build Dodger Stadium. So they say he was traded for Dodger Stadium. That was kind of the noteworthy reason why we brought him up. Couple other guys from the world of entertainment. Ray Liotta, right? I mean, if you haven't seen Goodfellas, then I don't know what you're talking about. There he is. And you know what? He had a couple of other, obviously Goodfellas was his marquee role, but there's an underrated movie that he was in with Jeff Daniels called Something Wild. And you got to see it. He's actually very funny in the movie, and then he turns a violent ending. It's a crazy movie, but that's what I remember Ray Liotta best for. Great actor, though.
I think recently, remember, I don't know if you're a TV guy or not. Remember about 3-4 years ago, he did that cop show.
Oh God, it was unwatchable.
NBC. Oh, I loved it. We loved it.
And it was really unwatchable with Jennifer Lopez, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Come on.
Well, don't tell me you were watching it for Ray Liotta and not for Jennifer Lopez, because I won't believe it.
Well, it was also Drea DiMatteo was in it too.
Right. Another actor, this guy, Bo Hopkins. I know Steven knows who he is. I checked this thing. He was in a lot of movies. I think maybe notable when his first thing, we got his start with Harrison Ford in American Graffiti. And then he did every Charlie's Angels, Barnaby Jones, all that kind of stuff. But he was in a couple of other good movies. Midnight Express he was in, and he was in it was another movie I wanted to bring up. I remember him in. But he was 84 years old. He was always playing the criminal kind of side, the criminal. Oh, he was in White Lightning with Burt Reynolds. 84. Steve, just like you said a couple times, you brought some names up, and I said, I don't know who they are. They said, if you see their picture, you'll know who they are. This is one of those guys. And finally, from the world of music, Alan White, from the drummer for Yes, passed away this week. 72. And listen, I never saw Yes, but I know a lot of people who have, and I like their music. I listened to their music. I just never saw them in concert, but he was a great drummer. That was a great band. And they packed the house when they played the Garden. It was packed.
Makes you wonder. Speaking of touring bands and musicians, Paul McCartney is touring this summer, right? And during the tour, he's going to be 80 years old. I can't. My mom's 82. I can't mention her touring the world and singing the songs.
Hey, don't look now, but Mick Jagger's getting close to 80 as well, and they're touring. So that's Steven's favorite band. So
who's that?
Anyway, Rob, thanks for jumping in, Steve. We'll get these technical difficulties fixed next week. You were sorely missed, but again, just remember our veterans. Remember the kids from Uvalde, and we're going to be back. Rob, we always encourage our audience to send us an email at sportswithmono@gmail.com and send us comments on Facebook. It was nice to have you on the show today. And next week, you can't have the Hartford Whalers background again.
Well, if we lose, all right. Yes. All right. Next week, it'll be the Gales next week.
Right. All right, everybody, have a great holiday weekend and enjoy. And summer's right around the corner. It starts today, right? I guess.
Tomorrow is 95 degrees.
All right, everybody. See you next week on Sports with Mono and Mono. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.